Good afternoon and welcome. Good to see so many of you here at the public forum at the Hydrogen and Fuel Cells Europe exhibition at the Hannovermesse 2022. There are still some seats here. I think the sound is a lot better if you sit here, so as a recommendation for the people in the back there, come to the front, find a spot, and exactly, just like that, it will be more comfortable. All right. We will be talking about an interesting topic today, the cooperation of Maximator Hydrogen and Bosch Rexroth. And joining me on stage will be the co-founder and CSO René Himmelstein. Can I get an applause, please? All right, so Maximator Hydrogen. Tell us.
So Maximator Hydrogen, we are an independent company since beginning of this year. We are heavily in the business since 4 years, and we are building hydrogen refueling stations.
All right, and as the name suggests, you are a part of Maximator.
Yeah.
And I believe you have a lot of experience with pressure. And when we talk about high pressure here on the Hydrogen Expo, often it's 700 bars, maybe a bit more.
Yeah.
I've heard you tell numbers up to 25,000 bars. So this must be a piece of cake for you, or
Absolutely.
Not?
So in the past we have built diesel pressure equipment. So we have a #1 supplier for Bosch Rexroth already, for Bosch actually, and the hydraulic was coming from Bosch Rexroth. And we have been the #1, as I told you before, and then suddenly diesel was gone. So we are still in this business, but hydrogen is now the main focus for us. And indeed, 25,000 bar was not an issue for us. In serial production, it was 10,000 bar, and therefore it was not so difficult to go into hydrogen. We are talking only about 1,000 bar. So
only 1,000 bar. It's nothing. So now you're into the hydrogen business, and how's it going? You make hydrogen fuel cells, hydrogen refueling stations.
Yeah.
How many are there? How's it going?
So for us, it's like that. I mean, I was in the business since my whole career. Let's put it that way. '96, I saw my first hydrogen refueling station. It's a long time ago, actually, and hopefully it will not drop down again. And 4.5 years ago, we started here actually on that stage. We showed a mock-up to the community with our automatic seal exchange, which means we are exchanging our high-pressure seals fully automatically. And then we thought, let's go really into that. And again, 4.5 years ago we started, and now we have more than 25 stations running already in Europe as well. In the United States, we got a big project from Shell for 50 stations. We are starting this year to build up these stations. So I would be saying, should be not arrogant, but technical-wise, we are the #1 in hydrogen refueling stations. And I add a little thing. So Switzerland, everybody here knows Switzerland, and we have done a great project over there. 11 stations are running already in Switzerland. We are filling up Hyundai trucks. So 47 trucks are running in Switzerland already. And they did it all without funding. So I miss this aspect here in Germany and other countries. All of them are asking for funding, funding, funding. They did it. So just for you guys, we are filling them up. We have done 33,000 refills already for the trucks. So we have a big database, and that's what we did over there.
Yeah, that's a lot to fall back on, indeed. And I want to get a bit more into detail when we're talking about these stations, because at the heart of these stations, there's a piece of technology that you have been presenting here in 2018 as well, I think.
Actually, yes.
That's the max compressor, right?
Yeah, max compression.
So yeah, explain to us, what is this?
Okay, the heart is indeed the max compression system. And we have a team in Vienna called MAT, not MIT. So in a few years, maybe we will be the same size, but not yet. And this group in Vienna, they are creating and they are developing all the stuff for us for the future. And I will talk about Max Compression 2.0 in a minute. And all the components, all the details, all the calculations and all these things are going into the station. and we are doing it together in that respect with Bosch Rexroth.
All right, so there that collaboration comes in. So you mentioned that these machines are developed in Vienna. In our talk earlier, you mentioned that you believe Vienna is going to be the hydrogen capital of Europe soon.
Yeah.
There were some more reasons for that rather than just you developing the compression there.
Yeah, it's true. We have a big project ongoing. It's for the Wiener Stadtwerke, and they will convert 400 buses into fuel cell buses. So we have installed recently the first stations for them in Vienna. Our normal Switzerland stations, let's put it that way. And by the end of the year, we are installing the big one. Because if you want to fill up 400 buses, you need more capacity, you need a bigger station, and that's the reason why this will be our first installation by the end of the year in Vienna.
All right, so new buses coming in, the current station not big enough, and that was the moment that you decided this Max Compression 1.0.
Yeah.
Let's call Bosch Rexroth and see if we can do something new there.
I mean, as I have mentioned before, we have already this long collaboration with Bosch Rexroth, and also Robert Adler. He's the chief engineer from MIT. He has also a long history with Bosch Rexroth. And then we thought, okay, what should we do? I mean, liquid was also an issue because Daimler Truck, for example, they are talking a lot about liquid. It's not our way, our path, but at least we talked about it. And then we thought, okay, we need refueling stations which is able to do 2 to 10 tons a day. Just that you have a feeling, in Switzerland, the stations are covering 370, 400 kilos a day. But again, we have 11 stations and 47 trucks. But if the truck manufacturers are really speeding up, and we have delivered a few stations to some truck manufacturers here in Europe, so it's coming slowly, but it's coming. And therefore you need stations which can cover the big volume, and that's where we are in the future.
All right, and this 2.0 version, as I understand, this is a modular version, and it's possible for people to upskill that.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So it's like Lego. So we come to that later on. So we are having a small version with a 75 kilowatt drivetrain. And for example, if a client is coming and saying, okay, we want to have a station for 4 buses, then it makes no sense to put over there a real big one. But for example, if he's coming back 5 years later or 3 years later, we are having now 20 buses, 30 buses, then we can convert the small station into a medium-sized station. Which means the only thing what we have to do, we have to exchange the Bosch Rexroth components. It's the same footprint. And just to make it clear for you, if we have an inlet pressure of 30 bar with the 74 version, we are having 24 kilograms. And if we convert the 75 station into a 250 bar kilowatt version, then we are talking about 88 kilogram. So 4 times more, and it's no need for the client to exchange the refueling station container.
And up to what size are we talking here? How high can it go?
So this was the medium size. With the smaller one, we are coming out, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, by the end of the year. The medium size, the 250 kilowatt station, we will coming out by the end of next year. Mid of next year, most probably. By the end of this year, we started already all our testing phase, but this is a lot what we have to do. And then the biggest version will be handling 450 kilo an hour, which means 10 tons a day. This will be then the biggest one, right?
10 tons a day, that is a lot. And I believe this is not the only new technology in these new stations. You also mentioned, you already mentioned the automatic seal exchanger before. Is this a new version? How does this work? I
mean, the automatic seal exchange is therefore quite important. It's a high pressure seal which is in the piston inside. And all our competitors, they need between 1 and 3 days to exchange the high pressure seal. With our technology, we do it fully automatically, which means we slide the old sealing out, put a new one in, and this whole process takes 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, and everything will be under pressure, and then it's starting again. So, which means the downtime is more or less nothing. And the new system, it's actually also on our booth. I do not know, I forgot.
C34-1.
34-1. And we have 14 sealings in our reservoir. And our goal is to come just once a year for servicing the machine, which means we bring down the OPEX cost dramatically. So we try to bring it down. And the other big advantage is for the new system, if you see a refueling station today, you have a lot of vessels on site. You have high pressure vessels, you have the middle pressure vessels and all that stuff. And all this could be removed because we will fill the trucks and the buses directly. From our compressor directly into the tank. And that's also a big, big plus for our new system.
Yeah, I can imagine. So for the people who are not that familiar with this technology, so this high pressure seal, that's a component in the compressor?
Yes.
And how often would that have to be replaced usually?
Normally the lifetime of such a sealing is between 600 and 1,000 hours. And that's the problem. I mean, hydrogen with 1,000 bar, it's not a joke. It's a lot. And therefore, we are not a compounding company. So therefore, we thought we need to create a system which allows us to do it without any big issues. And if one sealing lasts only 200 hours, then it's not a big deal. We slide it out and put a new one in.
Yeah, so that saves quite a lot of time then. If
Absolutely.
It's 600 hours, you have, what is it, 1 to 3 days, you said, downtime usually?
For other brands, yes.
Okay.
And this, I mean, just to make it clear, I do not know who is running a refueling station already. But in Switzerland, it's like that. We are having a lot of forwarding companies which are using the hydrogen refueling stations already. And if one station is down for 2 hours or 3 hours, they are getting completely nuts. They are completely nervous. When is the station back, etc., etc. And therefore, for all of you guys which is going into this business, it must be clear it's not a standard business. The expectations are quite high, and therefore you must be in a position to solve the problems immediately if something is happening.
Higher reliability and less downtime. I think that sounds good to everybody. Is there a question from the audience, perhaps, about anything that has been said so far, or anything else? Please raise your hand if you do have a question. No questions so far. If you still think of something, please raise your hand and I'll find you with my microphone. I do have a question, luckily. You know, we've talked a lot about developments in the company and developments in these new business units. But you also have had a lot of development yourself professionally, as you have started, you know, your career, as you mentioned earlier, in Maximator, but then as a technical sales employee, and you know, now you co-founded Maximator Hydrogen. So I would say you have seen, actually, your career has grown together with hydrogen. Perhaps that's a good way to put it. So how do you view these recent developments and the fact that we're here now with 220 exhibitors? It must be quite a change.
It's quite a change, and I was here the first time on the hydrogen show 12 years ago, something like that. A lot of students have been here, and then we discussed, blah, 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 yeah. And it's good to see that everything is moving the right direction, and hopefully it will be like that. And I mean, with all the crises what we have around the world, hydrogen will be playing a big role. The question is how? Where is all the green hydrogen coming from, etc., etc. All these questions must be solved, and we are trying our best to bring good refueling equipment into the market that everybody can survive.
I think that's always important when you're refueling. One of the key aspects, I would say. I read on your website, there's the goal. You want to have 4,000 refueling stations in use in 2030. That's quite ambitious. So, you know, that timeline, how far are we? How's it going?
I mean, at the moment, as I have mentioned already, 25 stations are running, and we are expecting a lot of big frame contracts, but there are also delays. So we are working together with the big players in the market, with the real big ones. And they are promising here and there, but then they are delaying again. And And this is also a bit of an issue for us. We are 132 people right now, and our capacity will be easily 500 stations a year, and therefore we can achieve it, but therefore all the big players must realize their projects, and that's an important thing. I mean, everybody is trying his best, but could be faster, let's put it that way. And the 4,000 station, again, it's realistic, but it's pending on several other parameters.
And then what would you say is the biggest bottleneck right now?
The biggest model.
Bottleneck. So
the biggest bottleneck. I mean, I mentioned it before. So the funding, many people are waiting for the funding. Especially here in Germany, we have so many projects and just 60 million for one funding stuff. Yeah? And again, in Switzerland, they are playing a different game. Yeah? And also the guys from H2 Energy Europe, it's not an advertisement, but they just do it. They are building up a 1 gigawatt electrolyzer in Denmark. They will install 250 stations in Germany and in Austria and in Denmark. They just do it. Okay, they have a big partner behind them. They have a lot of money. But maybe we have to go many different ways to achieve the goal. And with Bosch Rexroth and Bosch in general, I mean, Bosch, they are going into electrolyzers now, they are going into fuel cells, they are going into the tank systems. It's also a good, very important thing for Germany, because everything was so slow, in general also in Europe. If you look into Asia, it's tremendous what's ongoing. Also in China, they are saying we build 400 stations, they build 400 stations. 75 trucks are running already on hydrogen. It's a test fleet. They have exact numbers, what they want to do. And if we are not careful, we are out of the game again. And this should be not happen this time. So we try our best to be on the right side, not on the left side.
I think that's a theme here in this hall, at least. Everybody trying to push for it as hard as possible. Yeah. So we talked about your collaboration with Bosch. We talked about the Max compressor or Max compression 2.0. Yeah. The future. Are we going to have a 3.0 soon, or?
Yeah, I think we have a 3.0, so we are working on that. I mean, it's not like with a computer or iPhone. If you buy an iPhone today, tomorrow it's old. But indeed, we are working on new projects where we are talking about 300 kilo tanks, 250, 300 kilos. And we have to fill these tanks up within 20 minutes, which means a normal tank with 30 kilogram today, we need 10, 12 minutes for a truck. And this is a bigger one, yeah, and therefore we need 20 minutes, and we are working on this new technology already because this will be coming. It could be a train, it could be a small boat, whatever, it could be a mine truck, yeah, and this is ongoing already. Yeah.
So the developments just keep coming up. So collaborations with Bosch, I think that's the bottom line of this talk. Are there any more questions from the audience? Yeah.
I couldn't hold myself but ask these questions. First of all, thank you very much for all the information and insights. My name is Priya from Shell Hydrogen, so I'm very happy that you also mentioned our association and the ongoing projects in Europe and America. But I'm very keen to know about, I learned a new fact that Vienna, according to you, Vienna has the potential to become the hydrogen capital of Europe, right? Yeah. So, and you also mentioned about the 400 buses that are going to be converted to fuel cell electric vehicles. So what are the other expansion capabilities that you see in Vienna in the coming years? That is my first question. And the second is, you also mentioned about the trucks running in Switzerland, so meaning the heavy-duty stations are, already seems to be established in Switzerland. So what other blockers do you see for such a development in other part of Europe?
I mean, first of all, in Vienna, there are many projects ongoing. I give you just one example. They are building a 1.5 gigawatt wind park 60 kilometers away from Vienna. So they are producing a lot of green energy. And then you have to bring this, and they have big electrolyzer systems out of Vienna, and then you have to bring the hydrogen into Vienna to these bus stations or whatever. So also in that respect, we are having technologies for pipeline boosters and all that stuff, pipeline compressors. This is one thing. The Switzerland stations are not heavy-duty stations, if you ask me. I mean, we are filling up a few trucks a day, 47 trucks at 11 stations. But with Shell together, we are working on these ultra-heavy stations as well. I can't mention the name here because we signed the NDA. But we are talking about the 2-ton stations then. At the moment, we are talking about 350 kilogram a day, and this will be the future, definitely the 2 to 4 tons stations.
I do see another question. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, so I'm sorry. I would advise you to go by booth number C34.1. A short question? No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. We have run out of time.
Okay, but I have a little one. This is our hydrogen station, the smallest one. It's a Lego one with 800 parts. So it's for you, my friend.
Thank you. I think I'm one of the first owners of a hydrogen station here that just bought one here, or got one here for free.
Okay.
So.
And if you have questions, come to our booth.
Yeah, booth C34.1.